I think, like it or not, everyone remembers Over the Hedge. Whether you loved watching the movie in your childhood or you only heard of it from friends, everyone remembers this movie for whatever odd reason. A lot of people have even played the Over the Hedge video game, which is quite surprising. I even own an original copy of the game on GameCube. Considering that this was released in the same year as Final Fantasy XII, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and the Wii, for a good amount of people to be interested in this game is really good. However, this game falls under the category of a license-based game. License-based games are, quote, video games that are based on an existing intellectual property licensed by the game's publisher, unquote. Unfortunately, license-based games have a negative stigma to them. Despite there being some really good to even amazing license-based games to exist, like the Batman Arkham games and the South Park games, a lot of them end up being really bad, especially during the 90s and the early 2000s. This was mainly because developers used multiple brands as cash cows instead of respecting the properties. So today, we'll be looking into the Over the Hedge video game and see where this falls in the spectrum between Superman 64 and SpongeBob SquarePants' Battle for Bikini Bottom. The game starts out where the movie finishes, and I don't mean right after the movie ends, I mean during the final act of the movie when the gang is trying to steal a wagon load of food so that Vincent won't murder RJ. And no, don't worry, the game's not that short. Anyways, you complete an alternate and abridged ending of the movie, however, the ending takes a bit of a twist. A year later, the gang is shown off still doing their food heist, and on their return from a recent one, the gang discovers that the hedge has been ransacked by a company named VermTech, who is ruled by Dwayne, the Verminator from the movie. From then onward, RJ, Vern, Hammy, and Stella go through various locations in order to steal more food and technology to store behind the hedge while taking down VermTech. This game actually does 3 unique things with a story that most license-based games usually don't do. It has an original plotline, has both the original plotline and the movie plotline in it, and only has the very end of the movie is based off of. Yeah, this game is really weird, but also really ambitious. The fact that most of the game is original content is honestly surprising since most license-based games just follow the plot of the movie, which isn't really bad, but this game took the original movie and expanded upon it, which is a refreshing route that leads the developers to do whatever they want. Overall, the game doesn't look too bad. The areas in the game are serviceable and vary in design. The models for the characters look pretty good most of the time. There's a few moments where facial animations for characters look really weird, but it's nothing to be upset about. It's usually gone as soon as it appears. The music is fitting for the areas you're in and pretty varied. There's a mix between stealthy and wacky that fits very well for a game that's made for Over the Hedge. Now, since this is a license-based game of an animated movie, voice actors are involved. Almost none of the original voice actors are here for this game though. The only ones from the movie are the 3 Porcupine Kids. Don't let that fool you though, because most of the cast actually has a decent amount of recognizable work under their belts. Some people even have ties to Final Fantasy, Crash Bandicoot, God of War, and even Bill Farmer is playing Lou in this game. Yes, the voice actor for Goofy is in this game. They all do fantastic jobs and most of the time don't have anything that feels out of place. They voice the characters well and don't really sound half bad, aside from the Verminator. Honestly, he's the only one that has really bad moments when it appears, and it's not hard to notice.
Hasta la vista, Vermin. Expect me when you least expect me, and not 1 second later, or I'll work for half off and not $1 more.
It's really strange too because he's done stuff for plenty of series. Again, it's only him and it's really weird. In terms of the usage of the source material, this game does a really good job of utilizing it. Some levels are actual locations from the movie, and there's also a Blue Jay that wasn't from the movie, but instead from the comic strips. The developers went all out with the representation of this series. The use of familiarity and references don't feel forced at all and are evenly paced. The characters act how they normally would, and the writing is pretty good sometimes. Some jokes do end up giving me a chuckle here and there, and that's really good.
Wow, it smells great in here. Kinda like our forest, only chemically processed.
You play as a team of 2 between 4 playable characters, RJ, Vern, Hammy, and Stella. Each character has differences between each other to make them stand out, but have enough similarities for you to use them all on a basic level. The 2-member team aspect means you'll either be playing with a computer or a friend if you somehow manage to convince someone to play this with you. If you're playing solo, you can switch between the 2 characters you bring for the level. Before each heist, you are given a rundown of what the gang intends to do for that mission. Your team will then be making their way through various levels, both from the movie, like Gladys's house, I really hope that's how that's pronounced, and brand new environments such as neighborhoods, a train, an amusement park, and plenty more. You take down tons of enemies like rats, gophers, grills, and tennis ball launchers in a beat 'em up fashion as you make your way to your goals. Often, segments of the game will change to a variety of different objectives, whether it be a chase sequence, a collectathon, pressing buttons, or an escort mission. You will have a large amount of options at your disposal to fight. For basic attacks, there's a regular combo that you do by spamming the attack button, a lunge attack you can do by holding the button, then releasing, and at some point you get a finisher move that you can activate by timing your button presses. All of these work smoothly and are easily distinguishable. You also have an energy meter which can be used for a small pound move to quickly get enemies away from you by tapping the special attack button, a spinning attack you can use by holding down the button, and if you unlock it, an air pound that you can use if you jump in the air and press the button. These are usually used for large amounts of damage or getting enemies off of you if you get surrounded. You also have a projectile which you can tap for a weak shot or charge for a power shot. RJ and Vern have a projectile that goes straight forward, while Hammy and Stella has one that goes in a sideways arc. You and your partner also have abilities that you can use together. If one of you holds their attack button and the other hits them during that time, your weapon will be charged up for a single hit. Another thing you can do is climb on top of each other and attack enemies. You can't move while you attack, but in exchange, you both can use your energy meters to do a powerful spin move. If one of you dies, you can either wait out the timer for them to get back to life with a small amount of health, or you can go over to the roadkill corpse and smack it back to life to give it extra health. Also, if you die in solo, you automatically switch to the computer's player. Weapons can be found if you beat up enemies or when they are lying on the ground. Grabbing a new weapon gives you a full energy meter that has unlimited use for a short amount of time. Certain levels also give you access to using different types of guns, from ping pong balls and fire to ice and gas bubbles. As you progress through the game, you'll be collecting primary and secondary objectives, which help you obtain unlockable rewards such as the finisher and air pound I mentioned earlier, and the mini games, bumper carts, target practice, and RC car racing. Primary objectives have to be completed for you to get through a level. Secondary objectives are just extra side tasks that you can do if you feel like it. There is no item you need to do any side mission later. All of them can be done as soon as you unlock a level. You can get health and energy upgrades by collecting 20 cans of chips or 20 boxes of cookies. Hats are in certain areas and levels, and getting them gives you a health shield. This will go away if you're hit too often though. There are also tons of DVDs scattered throughout the levels, which unlocks concept art, model viewings, and even the original comics of Over the Hedge. This game does a fantastic job staying true to the source material. The usage of the movie's characters and locations feel right, and even go so far as to take some inspiration from the comics to add to the game. The movie tie-ins feel more like a stepping stone than a blank point that's not needed at all, and the part of the story that is original isn't half bad. The gameplay is actually pretty detailed with so many options of attacking and defending yourself. I've had this game most of my life and I still discover some new things while doing the review for this game. However, if you don't care for the intricacies of the combat, you can still mash the attack button and get relatively the same results. There's plenty of secondary goals and extra stuff to get, like the DVDs and the hats. Some of them can actually be kinda challenging to get, especially on the first try. If you're trying to go for these, they can keep you busy for a little bit. By the way, during the levels, the characters will give dialogue to each other as well as to NPCs. Somehow, I don't think it's actually explained. The dialogue a character gives is actually different depending on which character slot they are in.
Looks nice and peaceful.
Steel and concrete? Humans! I like cities. Let's make one out of sugar and call it Hamopolis.
I think someone's been inhaling too much smog.
That is a very nice touch that I honestly have to greatly appreciate. This fault actually makes this game, on a fundamental level, pretty bad. I know that math is probably the last thing you expected in a video like this, but real quick, let me put this into perspective. Let's say that about 80 to 85% of this game is running around beating up enemies, and the remaining 15 to 20% is minigames, cutscenes, and other variations of gameplay. Of the 80 to 85% of you fighting enemies, about 40 to 50% of that you can run past with no consequences. Now, this isn't anything new. A lot of games do this. It's like Cooper, Mario, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, and a lot of RPGs really. The difference between these games though is that the RPGs have a leveling system which keeps you from just running past enemies, or else you'll have a much harder time against later enemies in the game, or the other games don't have such a high emphasis on fighting enemies. Over the Hedge doesn't have a level system, and since it's a beat 'em up, most of your focus is fighting enemies, but you can just run past a lot of them and nothing's stopping you. Very few times are there secondary objectives that require you to defeat enemies. This gives even less incentive to fight them. Any health and energy upgrades you get come from breakable objects or are lying out in the open. You don't have to defeat enemies for any reason to get an advantage on them. Two ways to fix this would be to either have you beat all the enemies before you can advance, which some levels do, but it needs to be put way more often than it is, or have a leveling system and you gain experience for defeating enemies, which would then give you points towards things like attack damage, special attack damage, etc. Similar to Castle Crashers. If a second player joined the game, give them the same level as player 1 and let them distribute the points wherever they like. There's not much that you can really do at the Hedge. All you're able to do is talk to people, aka walking near people and listening to them talk to each other, and play minigames. You're not even able to interact with the machines you get in the game, like a laptop, boombox, or projector. These could have easily been used for a sound test or a demo for other games, especially since some are referenced in the game several times. The hats you collect in the game can only be worn here. You can't take them into the levels or even into the minigames with you. They only have use for the level you get them in and nothing else. I know that they give a health shield and that's probably why it's not allowed, but it's almost not worth collecting the hats since all they really do is give that health shield that will more than likely go away at some point. And again, it's only for that specific level for that specific hat. The minigames are honestly, for the most part, trash. The racing one is stupidly difficult to control and very hard to win because one person will do extremely well. You have to hope that either they mess up or you don't mess up at all. The golf cart can be fun, but in the end you're just ramming into each other, no special items that aren't passive or anything of the sort, and there's no time limit in case someone wants to just run away the whole time. The target practice isn't too bad. I kinda wish the progression of the rewards you get for objectives wasn't a straight line. This basically causes you to get the same reward no matter what, whether you like the reward or not. And some of the rewards don't help you in the main gameplay at all. An idea I have is that you could find some collectible objects to turn into Rufus, who would then let you get whatever reward you want for a certain amount of collectible objects. It would give him more of something to do, since most of the time he's really only there to carry optional stuff back over to the Hedge, however he does it. I also really feel like he's the kind of guy to do something like that. Sometimes character interactions don't make too much sense. It's a pretty rare occurrence given the combinations you can make between characters and the amount of stages that there are, but sometimes they don't work together at all.
Seen him yet. Long as we keep our eyes closed, we'll never see him at all.
In other words, Vincent's gone and never coming back. I'd bet my reputation on it.
How could Vincent be here? Quit trying to make me paranoid.
The air pound and weapon charge are bad and or useless. The air pound only has a hitbox when you land, and the hitbox is drastically smaller than doing a regular ground pound, meaning you can easily get hit for using it. You might as well use the regular ground pound or the energy spin. The weapon charge takes too long to activate with computer, mainly because the computer is probably trying to fight for its life, and even if you do get it off, it lasts for one hit. It'd be different if it at least lasted a short amount of time, but it's just the one hit. As soon as you let the button go, it might go away because you'll go flying off into an enemy. Thankfully, you have a bunch of other options to use rather than these. Other issues people might have is that the music can be forgettable sometimes, Dwayne's voice acting is really bad at points, and depending on the person you ask, the character models look like trash. This game is a very pleasant surprise. It uses the source material very efficiently while managing to be a good game, something license-based games, especially during the time this came around, had a hard time of doing. It's mindless and wacky fun that anyone can just find enjoying to some degree, even if you are just playing it as a joke. I do feel like the people that hate this game don't give it too much of a chance. Remember, not all license-based games are poop, and not all of them are diamonds. Sometimes you can find a pretty little rock that you can just simply enjoy. If you want to kill time, this is a pretty good game to do it with. And if you want to play this game yourself, for whatever reason, here's a few tips to keep in mind. Get as many of the secondary objectives as soon as possible, as they give you the access to upgrades and minigames faster than only doing the primary ones. Once you get finishers, spam them. They are your strongest attacks in your arsenal and they cost you nothing to use. If you want the best experience with the game, play as RJ and Vern. I don't care who you like more as a character, you'll have a better time playing as these two. I've even made tier lists explaining why. I seriously experimented with the actions of each character to establish their place and give reasoning for it. If you're not convinced, you are very much welcome to question me. And don't skip enemies. I know I brought it up, and you might do it just because of that, but don't do it. You seriously will just be skipping over what makes this game fun, and if you bore yourself playing the game this way, that's your fault. What's going on, my fellow residents? It's me, TheFrozenCavern, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a game that I've loved since my childhood, and I feel like anyone who's made it this far into the video probably has loved this game too. By the way, let me know what you guys think of me doing my review and the styling of it and all, because I want to do more reviews in the future. This video was really fun to make, and I would love to do more of these in the future. And also, I'm doing this for my 500 subscriber special because I kinda haven't done one yet, and I'm almost at 600 subscribers, so yeah, that's a little bit awkward. But anyways, if you did end up enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as share with your friends. Maybe get them invested in this game for whatever odd reason. But until the next video, take care.
I want you for a